Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 149 of Be With Me. We're following the life of Paul and his witness. Paul is witnessing to his first king, that is King Agrippa II. And he has moved from a position where he wants the church of God, the Christians, when he's persecuting them, he wants them to blaspheme. Blaspheming is telling false things about God. And he wants them to, he eventually starts to tell true things about God. So Paul is giving his witness to Agrippa, and he starts with this story. And I'm going to start this, I'm going to title this little lesson here, starting with stupid, but don't stay stupid. So here's the story. This is from Acts chapter 26. I'm going to start with verse 11. This is where we left off yesterday. And I, Paul, punished them in all the synagogues and tried to make them blaspheme. I tried to make the Christians blaspheme. And in raging fury against them, I persecuted them, even to foreign cities. In this connection, I journeyed to Damascus with the authority and the commission of the chief priests. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that the chief priests were selected by Herod Agrippa II. So ultimately, the power that Paul is talking about, the authority, comes from the person that he is standing before, that is King Agrippa. Verse 13, at midday, O king, I saw on the way a light from heaven, brighter than the sun, that shone around me and those who journeyed with me. And when we had all fallen to the ground, I heard a voice saying to me in the Hebrew language, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? It is hard for you to kick against the goads. G-O-A-D-S. We'll talk about that in a second. And I said, who are you, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. But rise and stand upon your feet, and I have appeared to you for this purpose, to appoint you as a servant and witness to the things in which you have seen me, and to those in which I will appear to you, delivering you from your people and from the Gentiles to whom I am sending you, to open their eyes so that they may turn from their darkness to light and from power of Satan to God, that they may receive forgiveness of sins and a place among those who are sanctified by faith in me. All right, so Paul, in starting his witness, he starts with his story. Basically, so if you want to witness to someone, a great thing to do is to say who you were before, then Jesus comes, and then who you are after. Now, there should be changes. Everything should change. Your politics should change. Your job, at least the thoughts about your job would change. The group of people that you hang out should change. Your money should change. Your travel should change. Your teaching should change. Your ethics and your morals should change. And we see here that Paul has been given an authority during his persecuting days. And it's actually an authority from this King Agrippa that transcends borders. So it actually, this religion almost like goes above politics, goes above local politics. So what is God? What is this glory that he's talking about? So glory is this light that they're talking about. I want to go on this. He says it's brighter than the sun. I saw on the way a light from heaven, brighter than the sun. Glory is the expression of the character and characteristics of God. And when I glorify, that is my appreciation or my declaration of the character and the characteristics of God. And we see here an actual visual that light is the ultimate expression. So this light bulb that I'm sitting under is in a small way expresses God's glory. Light expresses God's glory. If you ever see a light brighter than the sun, you have a pretty good idea that it's going to be Jesus. All right, let's talk about the goads for a second. So goads were sharp sticks, and they would use them to poke at big, huge animals, oxen, etc., to get them to do what they wanted them to do. So At the end of the stick, however, there was some sort of metal. In 1 Samuel 13:21, the Israelites with Saul and Jonathan had to go and get their goads sharpened by the Philistines. It cost them 2/3 of a shekel. And the idea was that these were actually weapons that they used to defeat the Philistines. So the Philistines wouldn't sharpen any swords or anything like that, but they would sharpen scythes and goads, and that was what the Israelites used ultimately to defeat them. They didn't have any swords. Actually, they only had 2 swords. And in Ecclesiastes, it says that the words of the wise are like goads. So they kind of poke at you. And opposing Jesus, this is a very embarrassing thing that Paul is saying. He's saying, I am so stupid. I was so stupid. That is, I kicked against a sharp metallic stick. So that's ridiculous and stupid and painful and not productive. And Paul was so sure of himself, this is the other embarrassing thing, that Jesus appears to him as this, incandescent light. And Paul didn't even know who was the bright light. In Revelation, it says his face was like the sun in full strength. So, ladies and gentlemen, you and I, when we get to heaven, will see this. So if you ever see a light brighter than the sun, just assume it's Jesus, and I think you're going to be right. So Paul was so convinced that he was right that when Jesus appeared, he had to ask, who are you? Which is just hilarious. And he says, I'm Jesus. So think of the implications. It means that Jesus was raised. He's alive. He's not extinguished. And then he charges Paul to go and witness. Okay, so conclusions today. Number 1, in witnessing, start with your story. And probably like Paul, start with stupid. But just don't stay stupid. Don't be stupid in the end. Don't kick against the goad. Don't kick against the Lord. Don't stay with stupid. And then third point is, if you see something brighter than the sun, it's probably Jesus. Thanks for listening. Look forward to seeing that.